Yes, purpose and goals. For part one, let's dive in. And I think actually, ironically, this is the most important part of our conversation we're going to have today. Because without this clarity on the definition and the role of your purpose versus your goals, things are going to stay murky all the way through the journey. And let me tell you up front that most people don't really understand the difference between purpose and goals. Many people don't even consider their purpose. They just dive right to the goals. And so I hope that this first section that we go through could be really helpful in defining how you think about this stuff, because I think it's very, very important. Let's first talk about purpose. All righty. Your purpose, as I mentioned before, is sort of your driver. I, as a coach, placed a massive amount of emphasis of understanding an athlete's purpose. If I was coaching one of the Purple Patch professionals, I would often start our introductory calls with, all right, great. Let me ask you a couple of questions. Why do you want to chase world-class performance? And what does success represent for you? What does it look like? And these were key questions to help me frame every other conversation from there forward, all of my planning. I want to understand the athlete's why. In other words, your purpose represents your core reason behind the actions that you take and is the driver of your commitment to your journey, your long-term motivation, and everything that's going to help you when adversity strikes. And if you've heard me say before, performance is never linear, so there is going to be some obstacles and adversity that you have to navigate. And so your purpose, the way to think about it is this is something that has a certain amount of permanence to it. At least it's longer term in thinking. It's not going to shift on a regular basis. It remains consistent over time, and it's important to you. It's important to you and what you believe. So what would be some examples of a purpose? Well, let's first talk about an athlete. And let me just give you a random example of an athlete's purpose. Let's say that we have an amateur athlete who also happens to be a parent. That athlete's purpose might be that they want to be a great role model and example to their children. So that's a deeply held value that is internal. They're doing the sport so that they have a vehicle to be a great role model and an example for their kids. This is something that's really common. In fact, it's something that I really relate to. And if you consider this for a moment, it really checks all the boxes. It's long-term. It's something that's valued by the athlete. It drives their commitment and their motivation, even when they're set with setbacks. And it goes well beyond race choices, target times, PRs, victories, or anything else like that. An individual example of purpose might be someone that says, okay, I've got a purpose where I want to live a healthy, balanced life that enables me to enjoy time with my family, pursue my hobbies, and contribute to my local community. So they're really steeped in quality of life and longevity. And it's very easy when you hear that purpose to see how this purpose will actually help drive and inform action and habits that that person might take. So in other words, the actions that they take will promote the likelihood that they're able to enjoy a high quality of life, that they have the ability to retain daily functions so that they can stay engaged and active with the people and the community around them that's really important to them. So that becomes really simple to understand. Then let's extend to a business example. And it might be something really simple. A software founder of a tech company, their purpose might be to build technology to solve real-world problems and make people's lives easier. Sounds very noble and nice, but it's a driving purpose. So it has nothing to do with, I want to take a company public or I want to establish a certain level of wealth. Instead, this founder is seeking to solve problems and improve the quality of life of others. Now, this example, this really resonates with me because at Purple Patch, we see ourselves as a purpose-driven organization because we seek to improve the quality of life of our customers, and we do that via education, via training, via coaching. And so as a coach, this is really, when we think about purpose, this is where I start with any athlete, whether I'm working with an executive, a professional athlete, whatever it might be. Because if I can understand your purpose, then I can tailor the coaching, the education, the program to actually fit that mission. And the likelihood of success in that case goes up dramatically. So that's your permanence, if you want to call it that, or at least long term. That doesn't shift very much. What about goals then? That's not quite the same thing. I always view goals as emerging out of your purpose. In other words, they should in many ways act as your stepping stones towards progressing to your target purpose. That's a nice way to think about goals. And in fact, it's the only way that they can really be successful. Now, goals are quite different from your purpose in many ways because they are specific and measurable outcomes that you aim for in a specific time frame. So relative to your purpose, which is longer term, your goals tend to be shorter term or at least medium term. And they can also really evolve around different circumstances that you face. And they might shift once you've hit a prior goal. And so you might actually say, you know what, that goal was great, but now we're going to shift it again. So there's a little bit of plasticity around goals. And if really leveraged correctly, goals are critical. They're really important. They're very valuable because they provide a compass, a direction, and a framework. They help narrow focus on the things that actually are important for you to get to where you want to go. They have measurable milestones of progression, so check-in points to understand whether you're on course or not, successful in improving or not. And they also tend to foster a certain amount of independence or autonomy because they have that operating structure. They force discipline. They can help you build your confidence in yourself on your journey and even promote a little bit of self-reliance as you go along there. So let's put goals into context. Let's first talk about athletic goals. So remember our athletic purpose was about being a good example and a role model to the children. Well, an athletic goal is quite different from that. It might be, let's just use one at random here, it might be an athletic goal of aiming to qualify for a world championship event with their qualifying competition being 6 months away. So now you have time bound 6 months away. It's clear purpose, you either qualify or you don't. And it can inform the actions that are necessary for you from planning your training and the supporting habits to improve yourself as an athlete, to bring you to race day ready to perform at the level that are going to facilitate that qualification. So that's a goal. That's a really useful one. What about an individual example? Remember, our purpose for the individual was seeped in longevity, quality of life, and components like that. A goal might be that the person might want to exercise for 30 minutes at least 5 times a week. Or it might be that they want to improve their body composition and lose 10 pounds over the course of the 4 months by following a really balanced diet and a regular exercise routine. So it informs, again, it's time-bound, it's measurable, and it creates a catalyst for the actions that are necessary that are going to take them on a journey to actually achieve that goal that feeds into your purpose. And that's where it becomes really, really important. A business example might be for that tech founder to actually expand their product line and enhance online marketing efforts so that you can increase monthly revenue by 20% over 6 months. So again, time-bound, really measurable, etc., and it's going to inform the actions that you take. In essence, the way to think about this, if you want something that you can always remember in your mind, purpose versus goals, is purpose is your why. I spend a lot of time talking about this with athletes. What's your why? What are you looking to do this? It's the why behind your doing, what you're committing to, versus goals are the what and how. So what are the actions you're going to take? How am I actually going to get me to move along this progression and this journey to get there? They're going to guide your actions towards fulfilling that purpose. Alrighty? So purpose is your why, goals are your what and how. Very simple. The purpose is undoubtedly the most important part of your performance journey. And yet many people don't spend much, if any, time reflecting on that, even though that's your driver of long-term commitment and motivation. I see so many athletes meticulously planning a season of races. And they want to know what power they're going to hold, what place they want to get, where they want to qualify. But they don't consider what success actually looks like, what truly motivates their journey, why are they doing it? And these are the athletes that consistently I see struggle the most when they have maybe a poor set of results or a bad patch of training, or they get injured or other setbacks that can occur. And interestingly, I've seen this a lot at the elite, even world-class level. And this pattern is often reflected then in how the athlete behaves. And I see it as being really destructive to long-term success and development. So, as I mentioned at the top of the show, I often ask pro athletes about their why. What does success look like? And every single time that I've coached an athlete, and some of them have been very, very good, up to world champion level, the ones that struggle to really come up with something authentic, believable, this is what I want to get out of this, this is why I'm doing it. The athletes that struggle with that are the ones that are most prone to have big swings of emotions. They often bounce between coaches, and they might experience a singular breakthrough performance. But quite often that massive breakthrough performance is not then backed up with a career of high sustained performance. And so they're kind of one-hit wonders. And it's really sad to see, but it's the fact that they're unable, or they haven't spent the time, or they don't value understanding their purpose. And so therefore, they're more likely to be a pendulum of emotions. They're more likely to be reactive. And when things go against them, they really struggle emotionally and mentally and practically. And so it's no wonder that these are the athletes that really struggle to develop that consistent high performance over the long term. It's no wonder that when things go bad, they just hit the eject seat, get rid of the coach. It must be their fault, move on to the other one, etc. They're going to go through bigger and deeper lows and spirals when adversity spikes. It's really challenging, but we can draw from that and apply it. And so in other words, the key message out of this is not to try and dissect elite athletes. It's really, for me to say to you, it's really valuable for you to understand your why, your purpose, because then you can progress onto the what and how, your goals.